We, of course, have a border crisis going on. That's one of the reasons President Trump just notched another victory this week, so we can get control of that. But what's going to happen in the intervening time between now and January 20th, when President Trump is sworn in? For that, we turn to the man who's been tracking it very closely, Todd Bensman. He's a senior national security fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies and the author of the book Overrun, How Joe Biden Unleashed the Greatest Border Crisis in U.S. History. Todd, good to have you back with us, sir.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right, so in the lead up to the election, we were getting some updates from you about how Mexico was sort of stopping up a lot of the flow of humanity that was heading north towards our border. And you and I both suspected that that's because they were trying to do the Biden administration a favor in a very important election time. What's happening now?
Right. That was called Operation Carousel. The Mexicans, since December, have been jamming up lots of migrants, hundreds of thousands in its southern provinces, all the way up into presumably November 5th. And so then what happens after November 5th? Well, we're going to find out whether Claudia Sheinbaum, the new president, is going to keep Operation Carousel or dismantle it in the very near future. For the Trump administration, on the morning of the election, two large caravans set out, strategically timed for the election, from Tapachula, which is where I just came from, and Tuxtla. Altogether, about 5,000. They'll pick up a lot more on the way, 6,000 coming through, to test Claudia Sheinbaum's resolve. Is she going to keep them blocked up? If they get through as a vanguard, of course, all those hundreds of thousands behind them will be paying close attention, and they'll come next, of course, because that's how it works. So we were I was kind of predicting a big flood coming through, but I'm revising that as of now, because on Monday, Donald Trump, before the election, at his rally in Raleigh, North Carolina, he threatened Sheinbaum and said, if you let anyone through, when I get to be president, I'm going to slap 25% trade tariffs on everything coming out of Mexico. And if that doesn't work, it goes to 50. And if that doesn't work, it goes to 75%. And if that doesn't work, I'll put 100% tariffs on everything coming into the United States export-wise. Now Sheinbaum's got a problem. Is she going to believe him? Is she going to take heed of that as Operation Carousel? I think it matters that he said that. And just with those words, as a civilian, have struck his first kind of triumph on the border. We'll see. We're going to see very shortly because those caravans are still moving up.
All right, I'm going to play some of this audio. Here's President Trump earlier this week threatening to impose these tariffs on Mexico. Listen to this.
Now we have a new president in Mexico. Supposed a very nice woman. They say I haven't met her. And I'm going to inform her on day one or sooner that if they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America. And the reason I delayed that, you're the first ones I've told it to. Congratulations, North Carolina. And it's only got a 100% chance of working, because if that doesn't work, I'll make it 50. And if that doesn't work, I'll make it 75 for the tough guys, and I'll make it 100. Then I'll make it 100.
All right, so there's President Trump saying, look, if you don't get control of this right now, I'm coming in with a day one tariff threat. That's a big deal, Todd Bensman, and very smart of him. So basically, Mexico has something of a loaded weapon, which is all of these people that they could release into our country, and Trump just aimed his own weapon right back at them.
That's exactly right. And we know that Mexico responds to the barrel of that gun in a big way, because he has pointed that very gun at them in 2019. when there was a brief but very intense surge of family units coming over the border, the U.S. border from Mexico, and he wanted to get it under control. So he told AMLO at that time, Lopez Obrador, the prior president, listen, I'm going to slap progressive trade tariffs on you all the way up to 28%, everything that comes through if you don't put military down there and shut it down. And he did. And he did shut it down very significantly. That's where the Biden-Harris administration got their page in their own playbook for Operation Carousel. They took that right out of Trump's playbook. The only difference is that, when Trump promises to do something, it's going to be the whole 4 years, and it's a stick, and it's a heavy stick. We should remember that Mexico is just this year surpassed China as America's biggest trading partner. They are exporting something on the order of $600 billion this year worth of goods, trade goods into the United States. If you want to mess with that, that is a serious national interest to preserve that for the Mexicans. It's very, very potent. It was potent in 2019 when Trump did it, and it's extremely much more potent even now because the trade between the two countries is far greater. It's at record levels, actually. Mexico's doing very well by it. So she is going to have now, the only thing she said in response, she heard it because on Wednesday she held a press conference in Mexico City, and she acknowledged hearing that and said something to the effect of, nobody's going to push us around from outside. We're a sovereign country. Now, she has to say something like that for Mexican domestic politics. But inside their boardrooms in the palace, Mexico City, I think that the conversation is much different.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see very shortly. It's something definitely interesting to watch. Right now, it's Trump pre-election reaching out, and it's Trump president-elect.
Yes.
Actually about to strike his very first blow about the border.
The two of them had a conversation this morning. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum speaking with President-elect Donald Trump by phone today, and Reuters says that the first telephone call between the leaders was, quote, very cordial. Sheinbaum posted on social media today, X, a photo of herself smiling at her desk. She added that she and Trump spoke about the, quote, good relations that we will have between Mexico and the United States. The post went into no further detail. And so being so slim on details, you have to believe, Todd Bensman, that it was the kind of call that didn't make Mexico happy, or at least President Sheinbaum, but was clearly about getting the border under control.
And one thing we have to, if I have an extra minute here, is that to remember is that when Biden-Harris entered office, they removed the stick from the bilateral table, Trump's threat of tariffs. They removed it and replaced it with carrots. We'll pay you instead, and it'll be soft power. And the Mexicans responded by abusing the Biden administration constantly and repeatedly for the next 4 years. They let everybody through, millions and millions of people. Poured through. Now they made a pretense of having the military roadblocks out and all the rest of that, but the Mexicans used something that I call ant operations, where they broke them up into small groups, provided the buses and everything, and distributed these huge populations across 15 different Mexican cities and towns from Baja to Tamaulipas, and had them cross that way in high volumes, but not in a visible way. So they just absolutely abused the Biden administration the entire time with these ant operations, while saying, hey, we still have this military roadblock down here. Don't you worry none. And so, I've got another piece coming out shortly, sort of, warning the Trump administration, the incoming Trump administration, to watch out for those ant operations, that they don't do that again. that the numbers stay right where they are and even drop further with Operation Carousel.
If President Trump is able to secure the coerced cooperation of Mexico that he's pushing for right now, what does that mean for the fentanyl crisis and China's ability to continue poisoning Americans?
Well, I know that the fentanyl crisis coincided with the mass migration crisis, but I'm not sure how connected the two actually are, because fentanyl is smuggled in small packages, a lot of it over ports, some of it with human smuggling. But I do believe that Border Patrol will be more available. Agents will be more available because they won't be processing illegal immigrants in. They'll be actually able to hunt down drug traffickers, and that will make a huge difference. They should be able to interdict much more of it.
No, but I agree with you, and I hope that's the case. Certainly, when the product, if you want to call it that, makes its way to our border. But I mean, even before that, getting the Mexican government to cooperate on not allowing China to control the entire fentanyl trade in their country, to crack down on that. Can President Trump use these same sticks that you and I are talking about, these tariff threats, in order to get some cooperation on cracking down on this illicit and deadly operation?
I think they can. I think they need to direct that at not just the Mexicans, but at the Chinese, the manufacturers of the precursors in not just China, because they've had to move. The Chinese have moved the manufacture of those chemicals to other countries in response to pressure as well. But there's still Chinese nationals that are doing it, and in some of these other countries. So the diplomacy, the stick, can be applied. I mean, the tariff, he uses tariffs. He always did. He's threatened the use of tariffs for all sorts of things. And also another stick that is very important for him to use here will be to threaten visas from those countries that aren't cooperating. All your students that are attending U.S. universities, visas reversed and denied, and business visas and tourist visas and everything else denied until you get this under control in your country. The Biden administration has never wanted to venture into that sort of aggressive, testosterone-y, diplomacy. But it's effective.
Of course.
And I think Trump is going to do that.
Yeah. No more rewarding our abusers. That's insanity. Okay. Todd Bensman, thank you from the Center for Immigration Studies. We rely on you for information on what's going on with all of this, and we'll keep doing that. Thank you, Todd.